Students, hi. Welcome to a summer edition of Business 101. We are now in week 7. So this is your instructional video for week 7 of week 8, or of an 8-week course. So hopefully you are doing okay, keeping up with the homework, keeping up with the discussion, and all the other items that are in this course that we are going through. All right, so some of you are still missing a few pieces of homework. I am working on getting all of your grades up into the grade book. If you have sent items in, I am working on getting those up hopefully by the end of the week. All your grade book items will be updated. This week for the course, if you have logged in, week 7 is revealed. We are only going to be looking at one chapter this week. So if you go into Blackboard, and I'm not sure why this looks different. All right. If you go into Blackboard and you go into your summer 8-week course and you go into course specific content weekly folders. So go into your weekly folders and scroll down to week 7. I have on there that things are due. Tonight is your items due for week 6 are due tonight. So in this week, I put another copy of the project. So if you remember, we are working on the project for this term. And there are 5 items that you should attempt to. So if you hit 4 of these 5 items in your paper, I realize that it is a short paper, 3 pages, so 2 to 3 pages is really what I'm looking for. And for your kind of minimum bar. So if you hit 4 of those 5 items in the sections talking about, and these are all things that we now, as of this week, will have covered in the chapters in the textbook. So you should have no problem finding some information relating to your company and relating to the chapters in the textbook. You also, for next week, these are both due week 8. So by the end of week 8, if you are thinking that the end of week 8, so the end of week 7 will be midweek next week, and then the end of week 8 will be the following week. So this week, if you are want to get a jump on finishing up your paper, you want to get a jump on the PowerPoints, which will also be due next week in week 8, during the week, by the end of week 8, right, by the end of the term. So next week, you will have a paper due, you will have no new material, you will have your PowerPoints due, and I will post your final exam probably next Wednesday, and you will have until the following week to finish that exam and get it back to me. It's similar format to the midterm. So those are the 3 things that you will be working on next week. This week, when you scroll down, you see chapter 13. We are only going to be doing one chapter this week. So chapter 13 from the text kind of sums up the last 2 components of your marketing mix. And so hopefully you enjoyed 11 and 12. When you are looking at chapter 13, we are now going to talk a little bit about pricing and distribution. Distribution being the last of the 4 Ps, placement. For some reason, the one thing that I do not like about this textbook, the only thing, is that they use distribution instead of placement. So typically in business textbooks, Business 101 textbooks, we see the 4 Ps, right? Product, promotion, which you saw in the last chapter, pricing, and placement. Those are the 4 Ps. However, in this textbook, they choose to go astray and put in their distribution. Distribution is the same as placement. Where do you place the product? So in chapter 13, the last of the 4 Ps are in here. So thinking about pricing and thinking about where you place the product. So when you're looking at the marketing mix, with those 4 things, the items that make up the product, right, which there were a couple of there's a video there for you, and then the chapter material, the product, how you promote the product, very important, how and where, and then what channels. Now we're looking at how you price the product, right, which pricing is really all about, so microeconomics talks a lot about pricing and how you find that right spot, right, the sweet spot for pricing your product and what kind of pricing range you'd like to be in. So pricing and then placement. When you're thinking about the marketing mix, that's all of those things, right? It's not just promotion and advertising. It is all of those things. The marketing of a product is all of the items that make up that whole entire product, the price, where it's at, right, where you can find it, and then how you promote it. So all of that is part of the marketing mix. So if you want to use the marketing mix as a part of your paper, right, to talk about the products or a specific product that your company offers, that would be wonderful. So when you're looking at chapter 13, it talks about promotion slash or placement slash distribution first. It talks about some different channel intermediaries, wholesalers, retailers, right? Most of us know about retailers and non-retailers, multi-level marketing. Most of us have seen some sort of multi-level marketing, aka pyramid products. Now there are a couple in Exhibit 13.2 retail store categories. We see some examples. Some of these, because this is an older text, some of these examples are a little bit, they've gone under, right? Category killers like I think it's Staples that has gone under. Toys R Us, right? Babies R Us, things like that that are no longer with us. Convenience stores, most of those are still around. Most of you know what a convenience store is. Most of you know what a department, they've suffered as well, department stores, right, over the years as Target, Walmart, and Kmart. Kmart is no longer with us, and Target is actually suffering at the hands of Walmart quite often. Now we have all those dollar stores out there, Dollar Trees. Continuing on, outlet stores, specialty stores, supermarkets, super centers, right? We all know about super centers that are taking over the world, and wholesale clubs, Costco and Sam's Club. So in that supply chain, then, there is a course that we offer here that's all about supply chain management and logistics. And so this is supply chain, all the organizations, processes, and activities involved in the flow of goods from raw materials to the final customer. And so supply chain and the elements of supply chain are all part of that distribution slash placement strategy. So go ahead and look at the elements of the supply chain there. All right, and then we move into on slide 14, or about halfway through the chapter, the idea of pricing and pricing objectives. So there are some examples of different types of pricing: high-low pricing, loss leader pricing, break-even analysis. So talking about when we get into some more mathematical and technical and micro, we talk a little bit about break-even analysis and the idea that, how much do we have to sell really to cover our costs, either for the day, the week, the month, the year, things like that. And so thinking about fixed and variable costs, profit margin, right? That would be the percentage that if your product overall, it costs you $7 to put a product on the shelf, maybe a hat, right? And the profit, and I sell it for $10, so that profit margin is $3 there. So thinking about how that would work, let's see. And so that really, there's a little bit about pricing. We just kind of dust off the surface there of pricing. So chapter 13, go through that. I do have then some information about a SWOT analysis when you're looking at products, right? Other people's products, your own products. There are some internal and external items there in the SWOT analysis. So you can use a SWOT analysis in your paper as well. So make sure that you watch the video there and you have a sense of what a SWOT analysis is. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So strengths and weaknesses are your internal items, right? What are some of your strengths with your products? Your whole marketing mix, really. What are your weaknesses? And then, so you can use that with your own company that you choose. And then the external influences would be opportunities and threats, right? What opportunities are out there that we could maybe, take on in the future, and what threats are there, to be aware of, like newcomers in the market, markets changing, things like that. So the SWOT analysis video. And then the next chapter, which we won't get to, chapter 14, since we aren't getting to it, I still want you to watch a video on human resource trends. And this video was put out in 2022, but it was post-COVID, so it really gave us some ideas, or post-COVID era really gave us some ideas about some of the human resource trends that are up and coming from 2022 and into 2023 and so on. So take a look at that video in lieu of us doing chapter 14. Chapter 13, questions there for you. There are a couple questions for you for homework to turn in by next week. So the only thing you have really for next week is to read, go through the PowerPoint, and then watch these videos. And then you have one homework, chapter 13, to turn into me by next Wednesday. And then for chapter 8, I will, chapter 8 really is just talking about the project, right? And so the project is due at the end of week 8, and your discussion that week is just to post your PowerPoint, right? So that is your discussion for the week so that others could view your PowerPoints and take a look at your company. So that is your discussion is also your PowerPoint for that week. And so my plan for you is that in week 8, so this is the last week that we will have actual new material. Week 8, you will have your 4th discussion, which is also posting of your PowerPoint, and that is due by the end of the week. Your project, which is due by the end of week 8, and your final exam. If you have questions, if you're still trying to get caught up on some homework, I will try and get all of your grades, including your midterm exam grades, up by the end of this week, and I will send you an email once those are done so you can go in and check. If you are turning your materials in on time and putting in your best effort, you should have no problem getting an A or B in this class. So I appreciate all your hard work. And as always, if you have questions, text me 814-490-6473 or shoot me an email, crobertson@ec3pa.org. And I look forward to a great week.